Hi there, welcome to my channel. This video is a part of my series on studying personality types for high performance. A quick introduction about me. I'm Purva Hulke and I work as a high performance coach. I help business owners and entrepreneurs get things done faster with less stress. Also, a bit about why I started this series is it is the reason why I have started the series is to help my clients get through a understanding of their own personalities so that they can use this understanding to craft their personalized path for achieving high performance and productivity. With that being said, let's get into the overview. So, in the past class, we discussed Carl Jung's psychological types, historical context, or top context, why this theory was created, and then we understood what is consciousness in Jungian psychology, the key components of consciousness, and what is individuation. So, in today's class, we will be continuing further with understanding what are the parts of consciousness, what is function, what is attitude, and we would also look into the derivation of psychological types, and then we would discuss the next class topic. Okay. Functions of consciousness, and there are attitudes of consciousness. All right. So I'll get into the details of it, but first let's focus on understanding the basics. Like we humans, we do two things. All right. We take in information from the outside world. We gather information from the outside world, and then we make decisions or judgment based on the information that we receive. So let's say today I watched on the TV that it's going to rain in the evening. So later on, when I have to go in the mall in the evening, I would decide to carry an umbrella. So I received some information, and then I made a decision. That's a very simple example of information gathering and decision making. So we make several decisions throughout the day, and we perceive a lot of information as well. Again, when we do information gathering, we do it in two ways. We gather information via our senses through the sight, touch, taste, smell, and through our ears, or we use intuition. So people who tend to use their intuition, they kind of always think how things will unfold in the future. They live in the world of possibilities a lot. Now, that's all about information gathering. And then when we make decisions, we do it in either of the two ways, all right? We do it via our feelings or our thinking. So, feelings, a person who uses their feelings uh, as a preference in decision making, then will always try to think of try to understand the emotional impact of their decisions, how it will impact people emotionally. All right. And those who have a thinking preference, they try to make decisions via logical analysis. That's a key difference. Feeling people use the main criteria as to how it will impact emotionally, and thinking people uh, try to make decision based on what is the logical thing to do. They use logical analysis more than emotional impact. So I'll also dive deep into these functions, feelings, thinking, and senses and intuitions one by one. All right. So when you come to functions, all right, functions of consciousness, all right. Just now we had discussed that as humans, we do two things. We gather information and we make decisions. So this itself is called the functions of consciousness in general psychology. So we have information gathering functions, and then we have decision making functions. All right. So functions of consciousness, this refers to the ways we gather information, perceive, and we make decisions. That is, making decisions is kind of taking a judgment. So you can think of it as a judging function as well. So now, first we will dive deep into what are the information gathering or perceiving functions. So there are two perceiving functions. One is sensation, and then again it's intuition. All right. So we'll deep dive into what is sensation. So remember that sensation is denoted by a capital letter S. All right. So this is the function which involves gathering information through five senses. So by seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling, people who use sensation as a way of information gathering are in tune with their current realities. They pay attention to the present moment and the facts that lie around them. They prioritize what is over what could be or what will be. That's a very important distinction between sensation and intuitive people. That people who prefer sensation, they are very much in the present moment. They focus on what is in this moment over what could be or what will be. So people with the sensation preference, they are good at being very practical, grounded, detailed, and they're accurate, and they make decisions based on very real and present facts. They are often excellent at craftsmanship, cooking, sports, or anything which is hands-on. All right. So it's not to say that other people who are intuitive cannot be good at medicine, cooking, or sports, but it's generally the people with sensation preference are more excellent in it. Now, if you have to imagine sensation in terms of a metaphor, all right. So think of sensation. It's like a camera, right? It captures the details of the present moment, and it focuses on the here and the now. It's very sharp, clear, and concerned with what's very real and tangible, right? Just like a camera focusing on the details of the scenes in front of it. It's very much in the now. All right. Now, coming to intuition function. So intuition, on the other hand, involves perceiving information through patterns, possibilities, and very abstract ideas. Intuitive individuals are more focused on the future, how things will unfold. They often enjoy brainstorming and conceptual thinking rather than focusing on what is immediately in front of them, aka the concrete reality. All right. The intuitive types focus on why and what could be rather than what is. All right. That's a very important distinction, which needs to be emphasized. They focus on why and what could be rather than what is. Consequently, they are good at seeing patterns, future possibilities. They are very innovative. They have a lot of ideas. They excel at strategic thinking, entrepreneurship, storytelling, or visionary leadership. Now, you can think in terms of metaphor, you can think intuition as a drone, all right, which is like it flies over a certain landscape and it gives you the big picture. And it can also imagine the potential paths in the future. Again, if you try to think of a party scene, someone who uses sensation would focus on the details of a party, the decor, the food, the music, and they appreciate what's happening right now. Whereas someone who uses intuition would focus on what could happen next. You know, they will notice the overall atmosphere and wonder about the possibilities of future events, like maybe predicting the conversation topics or trends. So that's all about the functions of the perceiving functions of the consciousness. Now we discuss the judging functions, or all right, judging or decision making function. So why it is called judging? Because we are making a decision, that is a kind of judgment that we make. So it is also known as a judging function. Now, we make decision via two ways. Either we use our thinking function or the feeling function. So if you understand what is thinking, it involves making decisions based on logic, analysis, and objective reasoning. All right. People who use thinking, they are often drawn to the how of situations. How does this work? They seek to understand the logic behind things and focus on how things work. Consequently, they are good at logical analysis, problem solving. They design efficient systems. They are good at debating, uh, because debating involves coming up with logical facts and counter arguments. Then they are good at managing tasks objectively. They often thrive in engineering, law, business analysis, or architecture. Right. So again, in terms of metaphor, thinking is like a scientific calculator. It analyzes information objectively. It focuses on the logical cause and effect of relationships. It is very precise and impersonal, and it values correctness above harmony, above everything else. All right. So that is how a calculator spits out exact answers without any emotion. You can also think of it as a GPS system that provides you with very precise logical directions and options based on the best routes towards your destination. Now, coming to the feeling function, okay, feeling in contrast involves decision making based on values, empathy, and personal beliefs. So, feeling types tend to evaluate the world in terms of how it impacts people emotionally. They are very attuned to their own and other people's feelings, and they often make decisions based on what they believe will bring harmony or emotional fulfillment. So they prioritize bringing harmony over being efficient. So that makes them good at understanding people. They are good at resolving conflicts. They create harmony, make empathetic decisions. They would shine in counseling, HR, teaching, social work, and arts. So feeling is like a thermometer. It reads the emotional temperature of a situation, reacting to the warmth or coldness of human interactions. And just as a thermometer gauges temperatures, people who use feelings make decisions based on the values, empathy, and emotional atmosphere. We can also think of feeling like a compass that helps you guide, that guides you by your personal values, emotions, and gives you a sense of direction. It will always ask, okay, which path will feel right, not just being efficient. So that's all about the functions. And now we discuss what is attitudes. So Jung talked about functions and then attitudes. So in Jungian psychology, an attitude is the direction in which the energy naturally flows. All right. So your energy can be directed outward towards the external world, that is called as extraversion, or it directs towards the inward world, that is called as introversion. So attitude is basically the direction of attention and energy. It describes how you relate to the world before you even start using very specific mental tools or functions. All right. So think of an attitude as the posture or orientation your mind takes. How does it differ from the functions? All right, the function that we discussed, sensing, intuition, thinking, and feeling, these are like the specific mental operations you you use them to gather information and make decisions. So function is a type of mental activity. It describes what kind of operation your mind is performing right now. So in very simple terms, attitude is where you are looking, outward or inward, and function is how you're processing what you are looking at. All right. So there are two attitudes, extraversion and introversion. Right now we'll discuss what is extraversion. The core idea is extraversion means your psychological energy flows towards the outside world, towards people, objects, and external events. You find meaning primarily in the external world. What's happening outside is more real and interesting and important than what's in your mind. The center of gravity of life is always outside yourself. For example, a person who prefers acting first and then reflecting can be an extrovert. Is an extrovert is energized by conversations, activities, and people. They tend to be good at networking, group leadership, and then they are very quick at taking actions. It's not that introverts can't do that, but extroverts are generally more quick. All right, they are more adapting as well. Now, if you tend to be too much extroverted, there is a danger of you losing in touch with your inner values, and you become too dependent on the external validation. Now, coming to introversion, all right. So, introversion means your psychological energy flows towards your thoughts, internal thoughts, feelings, and inner images. You find meaning primarily in the inner world, what's happening inside, the ideas, the reflection, the personal meaning. It's more personal, you know. It is more real and interesting than the external events. The center of gravity of life uh, is in the inside themselves. So you can think of introvert as a person who thinks first and then speaks later. They need a lot of solitude to recharge and make sense of experiences. They look for depth and not just surface appearances. They tend to be good at deep conversation, complex problem solving. They are very creative and have a lot of inner stability during external chaos. And they develop personal insights and a lot of philosophies. So if you tend to be more introverted, there is a danger of withdrawing too much, and you might become detached with the reality or struggle to act externally. So we have both, introversion and extroversion side. We both have this extroverted and introverted side to us, but there is one side that is more dominant over the other. So you will always identify as an extrovert or an introvert. Everyone uses both, again, important to know, but one is dominant. Extroverts still have the inner world, whereas introverts still deal with the outer world. It's a matter of preference. Where do you naturally trust reality to be more interesting and energizing? All right, so that's the basic functions and attitudes. Now, if we look under the derivation of psychological types, we have four basic functions, and then each function can be directed either outward or towards inward. So, if you have each function with two attitudes, you get eight psychological types. So, these are the psychological types. So I'll tell you the naming convention as well. So when you write one of the psychological types, let's say it's extroverted sensing SE. So you first write the function, and we use the capital letter. of the function. So S is for sensing, N is for intuition. Intuition is a special case. In intuition, we don't use the first letter. We take the second letter because we have already used I in the introversion. So in intuition, we use the second letter to denote it. So we will use N to denote intuition, T for thinking, and F for feeling. And for attitudes, E for extroverted and I for introverted. So whenever you create the symbol, you have to first use the function in the capital letter, and then next to the first letter you have to write followed by the attitude in small letter. All right, so you have the function N, intuition, and then maybe you have the attitude as introverted, that would make NI, or introverted intuition. So when you write the symbol, you take the first letter. The first letter is the function, second letter is the attitude. But while you read it, you first read the attitude and then the function. So SE would be read as extroverted sensing. So the attitude comes first and then the function while reading. This is introverted sensing, extroverted intuition, extroverted thinking, extroverted feeling, and introverted feeling. So always function first and attitude second for symbols. While reading, read the attitude first and then the function. All right. So these are your 8 psychological types. Okay. Now we will dive deep into what these psychological types exactly are. So for that, try to imagine your function as a tool. All right. Again, as I said before, it's your function is a kind of mental operation that you perform. So you can imagine it as a tool, and your attitude is the direction where you focus that operation. Right, where you focus, attitude will give you the direction in which you use your function or your tool. All right. Again, attitude will give you the direction in which you would use your tool or function. All right. Let's get into the feeling function. So you have the psychological type extroverted feeling. All right. Extroverted feeling denoted by FE. So the tool that we are discussing right now is the feeling tool or feeling function, and we would use a metaphor to describe this tool, which is the heart. Feeling is like, it's your heart, and the direction is extroverted, outward. So when you have your feeling directed outwards, you get a resulting behavior where you have this personality that uses their heart to tune into the emotion of other people. They focus on the external harmony and maintaining positive interpersonal relationships. Interpersonal word is very important here. These people are very good at building relationships, and they are very empathetic, socially responsible, and often prioritize group needs over individual desires because they are concerned with the external harmony. So they prioritize group needs. All right. People with strong extroverted feeling, they have this great ability to hold people together. They like to build communities. They know how to win friends and influence people. For example, you would have an FE user as a teacher who might notice when a student is feeling left out or struggling emotionally, and they would make an effort to engage that student, providing reassurance and emotional support. The FE teacher would focus on the emotional needs of the group, making sure that no one feels excluded or unheard, and they encourage collaboration with kindness and empathy. So they are kind of people lovers, all right. Extroverted feeling users are very social people. They tend to be also popular. they have a lot of influence over people. They just know the right words to speak so that they can make people do things that they never thought they would do just with the power of their words. All right, this is something I have observed with FE users. So their interpersonal intelligence is very strong. So that's extroverted feeling. Now, introverted feeling. So when your feelings move inward, all right. So when a person is a strong FI user or is an introverted feeler, that will result into behavior where the person uses their heart, the tool to evaluate personal values and moral truths. All right, they focus very much on aligning their actions with their inner value systems. So thereby creating a very authentic and integrity-driven personality. They are authentic, introspective, and driven by a personal sense of right and wrong. Now, I'm also an introverted feeler, so I can add into this that I have always I always had this sense of, what I want to do, what my value system is. I was very much tuned to it, and I would always make sure that my actions are in alignment with my own inner values, even if um, it it kind of breaks the external harmony, but my internal harmony mattered more to me as I grew up. It was very, very important for me to align my actions with my own value system. Right. So when you use your introverted feeling, for example, if a user might be an artist or an activist who is deeply driven by personal values and morals, and they express their beliefs through creative or advocacy works in the way that resonates with their inner truth. So you get a very authentic personality when we use introverted feeling. Now, that's the feeling function. All right. So when you come to the thinking functions, so you have two variants again in it, extroverted thinking and introverted thinking. So the tool that we use to denote the this thinking function would be a hammer. All right. And so extroverted thinking is thinking directed outward. So when you have a person who is an extroverted thinker, the resulting behavior would be this person uses their thinking or the hammer to build structures in the external world. They are focused on organizing the external world with efficiency, logic, and structure. They are very task oriented. It is thinking driven outward. All right. So they are very result driven and they love system processes and measurable outcomes. They are very good at planning and getting things done. For example, a T user might be a CEO who directs teams, develops very clear-cut plans, and organizes company resources to achieve concrete results in timely fashion. Now, that's about T. Now, as we think about introverted thinking, so it's thinking directed inward. So a TI user behavior would result in it's like you are using thinking or the hammer to refine your inner models of understanding. They focus a lot on creating internal frameworks of analyzing problems at deep conceptual level. Conceptual level. So both extroverted thinking and introverted thinking are good at problem solving, but the problems that they choose to solve are very different. Extroverted thinking people try to solve the problems on a very practical level in the outside world via creating hierarchy, organization systems in the outside world. Whereas introverted thinking solve it on a very conceptual level in the internal world. They are very analytical and see precision, clarity, accuracy in their thoughts and in their ideas a lot. So a TI user might be an engineer who enjoys problem solving, developing intricate models or systems in their mind and testing their theories in a detailed and focused manner. They tend to be very good critical thinkers. So that's your thinking function. Now, intuition. The tool that we would use to describe the intuition function is a telescope. All right. And here we are talking about intuition directed outward. So people who use any, they tend to use this intuition or their telescope to explore the future possibilities outside. They focus on the external patterns, external connection, and emerging opportunities. So it's like one to many, right? One to many function it is. And their ideas flow very rapidly. They see potential of the future and interconnection between various unrelated concepts. So, for example, an end user might be a very creative entrepreneur who constantly generates new ideas of doing things. They connect seemingly unrelated concepts to create very innovative solutions uh, for now and the future. They tend to be very creative, all right, and they jump a lot between different ideas. So they kind of have this problem with sticking to one thing. They always like a lot of activity, mental activity. Now, introverted intuition is your telescope directed inward. So that will result in a behavior where you use this intuition function to see the future patterns inwardly. It's like from many to one kind of thing. Many are they try to shortlist certain possibilities that is what is most likely to happen in the future. So, in contrast with any extroverted intuition is like using this one idea to generate multiple ideas, whereas introverted intuition is understanding different theories or ideas to generate one key inference or one key idea or one key insight. Right, so it's from many to one thing. They focus on deep abstract insights and synthesizes them to predict the outcomes. They are visionary and future focused, seeks meaning, and often has almost eureka moments of insight. Now, an NI user might be a deep thinker who sits in silence and has sudden profound insights into how a situation will unfold based on their internal understanding of feelings about the future. So that's your NI user. Now coming to sensing function. So the tool that we use to describe the sensing function is camera. So extroverted sensing is sensing directed outwards. That would result in a behavior where a person uses their sensing or the camera to capture the present moment. All right. Their focus is outwardly, they focus on external world and experience life with vivid sensory details. They're very observant of their surroundings. They enjoy adventure and they react quickly to new stimuli. So, an SE user might be the first to notice a new fashion trend and be on the move. They enjoy the sensory pleasures around them, such as food, music, or outdoor experiences. So, that's your SE user. And then you come to introverted sensing. So, this is sensing directed inward. That would result into behavior where the person uses the sensing to compare the present movements with the past memories because it is the sensing is directed inwards. So when you're directed inwards, you are trying to compare your present with what you learned in the past. It focuses on recalling experiences, traditions, and has a very rich internal world of sensory details. They tend to be very nostalgic. They value reliability and consistency and tend to seek comfort in what is familiar. So, familiarity is a very key word to describe introverted sensing. For example, an SI user might remember every detail of a family recipe and prefer to stick to tradition, finding comfort in their past experiences and relying on memory than living in the now. So, they tend to live a bit more in the past. So, why does this all matter? See that even if two people use the same sensing function or any same intuition function or the same sensing function, but the SE use extroverted sensing is about the user that lives in the now, noticing what's changing moment by moment. And SI user lives through the stored memories, noticing how today's reality matches or differs from the past. So these are two different ways of sensing things. So every function has two different ways of manifesting. All right. So same tool, but different direction that will give you different personality behaviors. So that's all about different psychological types. In the coming classes, I will dive even more deep into each of this function. So right now, I'm just giving a very brief overview of different functions. So I hope it was helpful to you to understand different kinds of attitudes and functions of consciousness as described by Jung. And even if you don't understand it right now very clearly, in the further classes, you will, as you learn more about it, you will get things, you will understand things more clearly. So no worries. All right, so that's all about today's class. Now, coming to the next class topic, I will be teaching how to translate psychological types, the 8 psychological types, into the MBTI code. All right, and then we'll talk about the hierarchy of different functions. What is dominant, auxiliary, tertiary, inferior, and we would also be discussing about Beeb's 8 function model, and which is an expansion of the Jung's law. So that's all for today's class, and thank you so much for watching it till the end. And see you in the next class.